Official Wandering Weekends campground review for Indian Springs State Park near Indian Springs, Georgia. Welcome back, friends. Hey, it's been a while since we've done a campground review. It feels good to get back into the mix, and this one's a special one to me because I grew up going to Indian Springs. We did a lot of tent camping during the summers, during my youth in the 80s and early 90s, and so I was really looking forward to bringing the kids back to this campground. But for you guys who are new to the channel, welcome. We're so glad you're here. I'm going to explain how we do our campground reviews. We break them down into 6 different categories, and here are those categories: accessibility, scenery, cost, comforts, atmosphere, and kid friendly. I'll talk a little bit about those categories once we get to them. But let's go ahead and get started with the Indian Springs State Park. As I just mentioned, we start with accessibility because you got to get there first. Indian Springs accessibility score is just okay. It's not a big deal to get to the state park, but once you're inside the state park, I think mainly because of its age, it can get a little tight in areas. It scored a 7. Next on the list is scenery, and scenery scores, okay, what does it look like once you're there? How scenic is it, obviously? And so at our particular campsite, it was just okay. It backed up to some woods, which was nice for privacy, but we were a little tight to our neighbor. A couple of the sites, which we'll go over at the end, a couple of our best sites slide, those had a higher scenery score, but for our particular campsite, it was just okay. It scored a 7. Next category is cost, and let me be clear here, this isn't a value, this is cost, and I think we need to fix that on our end scorecard. But the cost is just the same as all of our other Georgia state parks. $30 to $35 a night gets you water and electricity. It scores a 5. Fourth category is comforts, and comfort scores things like what is there to do around the park, outside of the park, dining, shopping, sightseeing, amusement parks, stuff like that. And there's not a whole heck of a lot to do around Flovilla and Indian Springs, but what they do have is really nice. There's some nice antique shops there, a couple of cool shops, and a really great place to eat. Yahola Creek was really good. You definitely need to eat there. If you're the type that likes to go out to eat while you camp, Yahola Creek is right there at the entrance, basically, to the park, and it was awesome. So comfort scored a 6. Next to last category is atmosphere, and atmosphere scores things like what was it like to camp there? Did you have a crazy neighbor? Were there inappropriate behavior going on? Was everyone really nice? How was your camp host? And Indian Springs scores really well here. We had a great time, met some cool people. Camp host was really friendly. It scores a perfect 10. Last category, and easily our favorite, is kid friendly. The whole reason we do this is because we have 2 babies to haul around in that travel trailer. So we will always want our campgrounds to be friendly towards them. And kid-friendly score was very good for Indian Springs. In our particular site, the playground was right across the street, which is awesome. A lot of other kids were there, similar in age, so that's always a good thing for them to make friends. The only point I took away was because it's a little bit hilly, so it was tough to ride bikes all through the park, but there was plenty of areas that were flat that you could ride in small areas. So it ended up being a great campsite for the kids. I would be a little worried about the woods behind us if it were during the summer for snakes and stuff like that. But hey, you know what? That's part of camping. So it scores really well here. Scores a 9. On to the bonus round, and we do this slide because sometimes there are things that certain areas or certain campgrounds do that the campground review may not pick up. And yes, we do have a bonus point. We're awarding a bonus point to Indian Springs. It has a fascinating history. So I will link more information on Indian Springs history down below. Go check that out. But yes, it was very cool to see all the old CCC buildings. It's the oldest state park in the nation, some say. And yeah, it was really cool to also visit the spring. It smells like sulfur. It's fun for the kids to yuck out on that. It's kind of funny. But yeah, bonus point for Indian Springs here. Good job. On to our couple of good sites slide. Every time we go to a campground, most people ask us what are the best sites. And at Indian Springs, 50, 51, and 52 are easily the best sites in our opinion. We weren't in one of those sites, wish we were, but they back up to the lake, and you got a nice little view there. You got plenty of privacy. 50, 51, and 52 were easily the best sites at Indian Springs. Here we go, add it all up, and Indian Springs State Park in Indian Springs, Georgia scores a very respectable 45. So over 45 is a great score. A 50 is an extraordinary score. That's some of the best. Well, I think we've only had 3 ever. So 45 is very good. And yeah, I'm proud of Indian Springs. I grew up going here. Used to play in the springs out by the front entrance, and yeah, it was a lot of fun taking the kids back. Yahola Creek was incredible food, very good. Also, Dawson Trails for the kids. I didn't mention that earlier, but yeah, check those out. I'll link all of that in the description box below. But this will definitely be on the list of, sure, we'd like to go back there. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in to another campground review. I hope it was useful. If it was, consider sharing and subscribing. It really helps the channel. See ya.